Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Am I too loud? OK. Hi. Welcome to Signal 2019. Hope you've been having a fantastic time so far. And thank you for choosing our talk, Debugging with Twilio. We have free snacks. My name is Ashwini Sriram. I'm a product manager at Twilio. And I have with me here Marina Bischoffy, a software engineer at Twilio. And we work on building tools that help our developers debug effectively. A quick overview of this talk, just to set expectations. We're going to be covering the basics of debugging your Twilio app. We're going to be walking in the footsteps of Marina, the entrepreneur, as she takes her idea from prototype to production. And we're going to be seeing how she does debugging. Lastly, we're going to be talking about how to integrate Twilio logs into third-party logging tools. I'm going to start with a short story about debugging, supposed origins of debugging. Can someone tell me what Grace Hopper has to do with debugging? Yeah. Sorry? Yes, exactly. So legend has it that on September 9th, 1947, Admiral Grace Hopper found an actual moth, like a physical moth, that was causing a failure in the Mark II icon relay computer at Harvard University. That was, some say, the first case of debugging. Thankfully, we've come a long way since then in terms of what debugging means and the tools that we have at our disposal. Fast forward 72 years, in this beautiful, sunny city of San Francisco, we have Marina, and we're going to be seeing how she does debugging as she takes her idea from prototype to production. Marina?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? Cool. All right. I see some nodding. As Ashwini mentioned, my name is Marina. I'm a software engineer here at Twilio. And a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Brazil. Do we have any Brazilians here? Yay! So, like any good Brazilian, I am crazy about the snack we have there called pão de queijo. Pão de queijo literally translates to cheese bread, so how can that not be delicious, right? If you've never had this type of Brazilian cheese bread before, it's kind of tricky to explain. It's actually not bread at all. It has more of the texture of a cream puff shell, but with more substance on the inside. So the outside is slightly crisp and brown, and the inside is airy and chewy. It's seriously the best. So I love pão de queijo so much that I decided to open up a small business to sell pão de queijo here in San Francisco. So Ashwini and I will walk you through my journey. So let's just dive right in. I'm bootstrapping this business, right? I don't have a lot of money or time to invest. I just want to get a few orders in, get feedback on the product, and make sure that there's actually demand for cheese puffs. So let's imagine that you all saw this tweet, and you think that my puns are pretty funny, so you decided to put an order on. And so please text the number that you see on the tweet and place your order. And while you do that, why don't I just show you what is happening behind the scenes? OK, so I have a spreadsheet. I told you this is a prototype. So I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all my orders. So don't send me your real address, OK, because it's going to show up here. And then for the first 5 orders that come in, we actually had 6, but I ate some of them. So the first 5 orders that come in, we're going to actually give you cheese puffs. And as you know, with Twilio, you can write code in any language that you want and host that code anywhere you want. So I decided to host this app locally. It's just an interactive SMS app that I built with Python and Flask and Twilio's Python helper library. So I have this route that takes in the message. I store the answers you sent me through Flask session. And then I just send that via Google Drive API to my spreadsheet. So a lot of talking. Let's take a look at the spreadsheet and see. Yeah, looks like it's empty. So either none of you are interested in cheese puffs, or there's something wrong with my app. So can you raise your hand if you were able to send a message to this number? Cool, awesome. Can you raise your hand if you received a message back? All right, well, I guess the first thing I'm going to do is just look at my logs. It could be an issue with the Google Drive API, but it seems like you didn't receive any answers back. So I don't see any exceptions being thrown. All I see are some 404s. So that tells me that maybe someone is trying to talk to my app, but is not being able to.
Well, there are a bunch of things that are happening when you send a text message to Marina. There is an inbound SMS that comes through, and Twilio makes an HTTP request to the webhook that's configured in the console, in Marina's console. And the helper library returns TWIML, which is parsed, executed, and authenticated, and sent back to you, the sender. So I feel like any of these steps could have gone wrong. I was able to successfully send you a text message, so there was probably an issue between Twilio and your app. And a great first place to investigate what's going on is the console debugger.
Exactly. So when Twilio runs into a problem with your webhook, it will log that information in the console debugger. And if you are logged in the debugger when an event occurs, this debugger icon will light up. So on this page, you can see all of the events, all of the debug events that happened over the last 30 days in your account. And Twilio will flag those as either errors or warnings. So it looks like some of those happened quite recently, so let's dive into one of those. In this individual page, you can see more details about this particular event. So the error code that you can use to maybe look up on Stack Overflow some solutions. There's a resource link for messages and calls that will take you to the message details, where you can see some of the steps that Ashwini was referring to previously. The message was received, but inbound request failed. And then going back, here you can see a list of possible causes and suggested solutions by Twilio, as well as the entire HTTP request and response associated with this webhook request. And
truly, it's the request inspector that kind of sets the Twilio debugger apart from error logs that you might be familiar with. You can actually hit replay on that request and reproduce the exact same error without having to text yourself. So that's exactly what Marina's going to do now.
Yeah, so I don't know if you all can see, but the response tells me that if you enter the URL manually, please check your spelling and try again. Well, I did enter this URL manually here when I was configuring my number, so I'm going to double check that I have set up this route correctly. So when a message comes in, it's supposed to hit the route message, and then if we look at my code, I don't know if you can see here, but on line 31, I actually set up messages. So it was just a typo. It's pretty simple to fix. So I'm just going to delete and save this. And then maybe we can give it a try again. Can you please text this number and place your order? Oh my gosh, I hope it works. Yeah. Yeah, so the orders are coming in. Maybe there was some issue with my spreadsheet here. But since that's the case, we're just going to give out cheese puffs for everyone. How does that sound? Cool.
Please come and collect your cheese puffs at the end of this talk.
Yes.
So let's recap what we just saw here. So Marina was trying to test out an idea for her business. And because she did not want to invest a lot of money, she wanted this to be a simple prototype just to validate the idea. And her starting point to investigating what the issue was the Twilio debugger on the console. This gave her a chronologically ordered list of debug events. But what helped her finally find and fix the issue was the request inspector, because she was easily able to reproduce the error by hitting replay, and the error gave her enough description to find and fix the root cause, which turned out to be a typo.
So I'm really excited to announce that I was able to validate my prototype. There's actually a lot of demand for cheese puffs. People found out that they're gluten-free and they're keto-friendly, so it really blew up here in San Francisco. And this website is actually live. I'm using integrations with Studio, with SendGrid, and now I have a lot of things to take care of, right? I have this website to maintain. I'm not running things locally anymore, so I can't be staring at my console. And I need to have more control over getting notified when something goes wrong with my website.
That's totally fair, Marina. You're a busy entrepreneur. You probably don't want to spend time staring at the console. You want to focus on your business. Well, that's exactly what alert triggers allow you to do. These are email notification alerts that you can simply set up in under like 10 seconds without writing a single line of code from within the Twilio console. They are set up for Marina by default, which is the best thing about them. And she can receive an alert on every nth occurrence of an error or configure specific error codes that she would like to be alerted on. And here's the best part. She can actually forward these emails or set up these alerts to be sent to individual members within her organization. For example, if she wants to set up an alert to be sent to Mindy Kaling from marketing, she can easily do that in under 10 seconds. We're going to be seeing how. So Marina's going to head to the console. And she's going to create a new alert trigger. As you can see, there are 3 that are already set up for her by default. She is going to create a friendly name to help her distinguish between this alert trigger and every other alert trigger. And she's going to be choosing an error code to be alerted on from a dictionary of errors and warnings that Twilio generates. And because she does not want to overwhelm her marketing person, she sets a trigger value of 10. And then she finally types in an email address and hits save. And that's it. In under 10 seconds, she was able to create a simple alert without writing a single line of code. And alert triggers ensure that Marina does not have to keep staring at the console to see if the bug icon is lighting up. She can just set up these alerts and fire and forget.
So amazing news, everyone. Marina's Cheese Puffs reached yet another incredible milestone. We sold 1 million cheese puffs. So now we know we're not a team of 2 anymore. It's not just me and Mindy. We have a team of developers maintaining our online business. We are integrated with Flex now, and we're expanding a lot, right? So our website traffic is growing by the minute. And what that means is that each hour that we're down can translate into thousands of dollars in lost revenue. So I really need a programmatic way to get notified when something goes wrong.
Well, congratulations on your milestone, Marina.
Thank you very
1 million
much.
cheese puffs. That's amazing. And well, great news for you. Actually, you can set up a webhook inside the Twilio console, and you can receive data about all the errors and warnings as and when they happen. So it makes it super easy for any developers that you might be hiring in the future to react to problems in a timely manner from within your application. So we're going to be seeing how Marina has configured a debugger webhook inside her console. So she's already configured a webhook. Now, Twilio will make an HTTP post request to this endpoint whenever there is an error or a warning. So Marina can handle this however she likes, but we're going to be seeing how she actually handles it in a real-world scenario.
Exactly. So as I mentioned, at Marina's Cheese Puffs, we care a lot about our customer experience. So because so much of this experience relies on our integration with Twilio, we want to get notified right away if something goes wrong. And one of the things we want to do is enable our developers to use the tools that they already use in other parts of their work to debug their Twilio applications. So our team, for example, already uses Slack for communication and Rollbar for error tracking tool. So it was really simple to integrate Twilio debugger webhook with its web services. So let's take a look at how that works. So this is actually the lines of code basically that are running on this webhook. Whenever a warning or an error occurs in my application, in my accounts or my sub-accounts, it's posted to this route, and we parse the payload that Twilio sends us and send that to rollbar. And then because we care a lot about our flex errors, we have a flex integration, as I mentioned. Whenever there's a specific flex error code, we're going to send that to our Slack on-call channel. So our developers who are on call can get alerted right away, and then they can just jump into rollbar and see all that payload that we sent.
So with the debugger webhook, the possibilities are truly endless. Now Marina and her team can integrate Twilio logs into Rollbar, Slack, Datadog, Splunk, and really any other tool that they may end up using in the future. So to sum up, in the deploy and operate phases, as Marina's business grew and scaled and her tooling became more and more complicated, she was able to, first of all, set up simple alerts through the alert trigger emails without writing a single line of code. And she was able to configure programmatic notifications through the debugger webhooks and pipe these logs right into Rollbar and Slack, where her team actually works from. All right, so here are some things that we have not covered in this talk. These are additional tips and tricks that can help you debug faster. So as you know, Twilio partners with a lot of carrier providers, and sometimes carriers may be experiencing issues. And Twilio does a great job of surfacing these issues on the Twilio status page. So make sure to subscribe to the Twilio status page to get updates on carrier issues, so that you don't have to spend time thinking about whether it's your code that's acting up or Twilio's partners. Another tool that's super helpful is the API Explorer. So you can make API requests to the Twilio REST APIs right from within your browser. You can plug in parameters into this API Explorer and just hit make request. So it gives you feedback immediately about what you're missing out on. In this case, I think it's the URL parameter that's required, and Marina did not put that in. All right, so we are actually approaching the end of our talk. Thank you so much for sticking with us through our technical glitches and Marina's successes. Here is a quick recap of what we just saw. Whenever you encounter a problem like Marina did the first time, break down the problem. Twilio's infrastructure is complicated. We have a lot of carrier partners. We work with devices. It's not just pure software. So break down the problem and figure out if it's your software that's acting up or Twilio's carrier partners or your phone. And in the prototype phase, when you're testing out your idea, use the console debugger as a starting point, because it gives you a simple list of all the debug events that are logged by Twilio. And once you've deployed your app, set up simple alerts through the alert trigger emails that you can route to multiple people within your organization. And as your business scales and grows and you hire more people and your tooling becomes more complicated, use the debugger webhook to pipe Twilio logs right into Rollbar or Slack or wherever it is that you may be. And lastly, if you have any feedback about any of the tools that you just saw, our presentation, or the cheese puffs you're going to be eating, reach out at ashriram@twilio.com. We would love to hear from you. Thank you so much. Marina, you want to say something?
Yeah, thank you so much. Obrigado, everyone. Thanks for following our journey, and we're really looking forward to hear how you debug your Twilio applications. Thank you.
Can we take a selfie with you?